Welcome back to Grammar Grade 10. This is Unit 11, Lesson 85, and today we're looking at italics, that slanted type you see in printed books, and at the underline that stands in for it whenever you pick up a pen. Italics are a signal. They tell your reader, this word is being handled differently. Let's find out exactly when to send that signal. Let's start with what italics actually are. Italic type is that slanted type you see in a printed book. It leans up and to the right, and it quietly tells the reader, look closer, this word is special. But here is the practical problem. You cannot slant your handwriting on demand, and neither can a typewriter. So there's a rule for that. In typing or in handwriting, you show italics by underlining instead. Underlining and italics mean exactly the same thing. They are two ways of sending one signal. That matters for our board today, because our board can't slant either. So whenever you see a word underlined on the board, read it as italics. So what actually gets italicized? Start with titles, but only certain titles. Italicize the title of a long work, a whole work, something that stands on its own, books and plays, long poems, films and television series, magazines and newspapers, music albums, and even paintings and sculptures, because a work of art carries a title too. Here's the way to hold all of that in your head at once. If the thing is a complete, standalone work, something you could hold in your hands, or buy on its own, or hang on a wall, then its title takes italics. Let's put the rule to work in real sentences. Here's the first one. We read The Glass Orchard in English class. Now, that novel is a whole book that stands on its own, so the title takes italics. Look at the underline on the board. That underline is exactly what you would write by hand instead of slanting the letters. Here's a second sentence. The film The Long Crossing won 3 awards. Same logic, different medium. A film is a complete work too, so its title is italicized. Books, plays, films, television series, albums. One rule covers them all. A whole standalone work gets italics. Now, here's the contrast that trips people up, and it ties straight back to our lesson on quotation marks. Think about a poem called Winter Bells. That poem is short, one poem, a few lines long, and it lives inside a larger book. A small piece sitting inside a bigger whole takes quotation marks, not italics. But the book it sits inside, collected verse, is the whole work, the entire volume you can hold in your hands, and a whole work takes italics. So a single sentence can carry both marks at once. The little piece wrapped in quotation marks, the big whole in italics. Small piece, quotes. Big whole, italics. Italics don't stop at titles. Italicize the names of vessels, the things that carry us from place to place. Ships, trains, aircraft, and spacecraft. Look at this sentence. The ship Wanderer left the harbor at dawn. Notice what happens. The word ship is not italicized because it's just an ordinary common noun. But Wanderer is the vessel's own name, so it takes italics, or an underline if the pen is in your hand. The same holds for a train called the Coastal Flyer, or a space probe called Meridian 4. Give the name italics and leave the ordinary word plain. Here's the third use, and it's one you'll meet in every good book. Italicize foreign words and phrases that English has not really absorbed yet. Take this sentence. She faced the day with joie de vivre. That French phrase means joy of living, and it is still a guest in our language, still foreign to the ear, so it wears italics. But be careful, because English absorbs words all the time. Look at this second sentence. We ate on the patio at the cafe. Patio came from Spanish, and cafe came from French. Yet both of them are completely at home in English now. Nobody blinks at them. So they stay plain, no italics at all. If English has adopted it, leave it alone. Here's the last use, and it's a clever one. Sometimes you don't use a word. You talk about the word. When you name a word, a letter, or a number as itself, you italicize it. Look, the word set has dozens of meanings. We are not setting anything down in that sentence. We are pointing at the word and holding it up for inspection, like a specimen, so it gets italics. The same goes for letters. Mind your P's and Q's, and dot your I's. Those letters are naming themselves, so they're italicized. And it works for numbers too. Your 7 looks like a 1. So ask yourself, am I naming this word itself? If the answer is yes, italics. Let's compress the whole lesson into a quick check you can run in a second. First, is it a whole standalone work? A book, a film, a magazine, a painting? Then italics. Second, is it a small piece sitting inside a bigger work? One poem, one song, one article? Then quotation marks, not italics. Third, is it the name of a vessel, a foreign phrase English hasn't swallowed, or a word held up as itself? Italics again. And one last reminder that covers every single case. If you're writing by hand, you underline it. Ready to practice? In this first set, I'll give you a title, and you decide how it should be marked. Italics, which means an underline when you write by hand, or quotation marks. Pause the video and choose before I reveal each answer. The Glass Orchard, a novel. Ask the question, is this a whole work or a piece of one? A novel is an entire book. It stands alone on the shelf, complete in itself. So the title takes italics, and you would underline it by hand. Winter Bells, one short poem printed inside a collection. That poem is a small piece living inside a bigger whole, so it does not get italics. The title Winter Bells takes quotation marks. Harbor Review, a monthly magazine. A magazine is a complete publication, whole in itself. It is not a piece of something larger. So the name is italicized and underlined if you write it by hand. Second set. Now the question is which words in the sentence should be italicized? And sometimes the honest answer is none of them. Pause, decide, then listen. The ship Wanderer sailed at noon. Which part gets the italics? Only the vessel's own name does. The word ship is an ordinary common noun, so it stays plain. The answer is Wanderer only. We ate lunch on the patio. Patio began as a Spanish word, that's true, but English swallowed it long ago, and we use it every day without a second thought. A word that is fully at home needs no italics, so we leave patio plain. The word set has dozens of meanings. Here, the sentence is talking about a word rather than using it, and the word being named is S-E-T. A word named as itself is italicized, so the answer is set. Let's gather it all up. Italics go on whole, standalone works. Books, plays, long poems, films, television series, magazines, newspapers, albums, and works of art. Italics also go on the names of ships, trains, aircraft, and spacecraft, on foreign words English hasn't absorbed, and on any word, letter, or number that is named as itself. And remember the contrast. A short piece inside a larger work, one poem, one song, one article, takes quotation marks instead. Finally, when your pen is in your hand, italics become an underline. That's Lesson 85 of Grammar Grade 10. Next time, we'll take on the apostrophe. I'll see you there.